Yogananda said that the experience of the divine in all, he is discussing the cosmic consciousness. Archana Di, good morning.
Good morning, Vengada.
Yeah, good morning. So now, he is discussing the cosmic consciousness, which can be experienced in several ways. So the first way on page 116 is the fundamental experience will yet begin differently from different natures. So somebody may see the divine in himself, okay, and somebody may see the divine outside himself in the physical world. Okay, there are different ways of experiencing it. So in the previous paragraph, I'll read out the summary and then we'll read the summary, the paragraph that we have to read today. So in the previous paragraph, he is describing the cosmic consciousness. Okay, so just 1 second. 1 second, let me. Yeah, I have not summarized this one. So he has told you that it can be seen in different ways. So we'll see what he's saying here. On the other hand, we have to read this, no?
Yes.
Okay. So in the previous para, he has said that you may see the divine in yourself because it is easier for some natures. Now he is going to read this one. On the other hand, Sunki, good morning.
Good morning. Sorry, late.
Yeah, we have started recording already. Okay. So we have not started yet. We are going to start now. So who will read?
Shall I read? Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Read, because this is actually you started this class, Tuesday class. Okay, read. On the other hand.
On the other hand, and to some, this is an easier way. I may see the divinity first in the world outside me, not in myself, but in others. I meet it there from the beginning as an indwelling and all-containing infinite that is not bound up with all these forms, creatures, and forces which it bears on its surface. Or else I see and feel it as a pure solitary self and spirit, which contains all these powers and existence, and I lose my sense of ego in the silent omnipresence around me. Afterwards, it is this that begins to pervade and possess my instrumental being, and out of it seem to proceed all my impulsions to action, all my light of thought and speech, all the formations of my consciousness, and all its relations and impacts with other soul forms of this one worldwide existence. I'm already no longer this little personal self, but that with something of itself put forward, which sustains a selected form of its workings in the universe.
Okay, very interesting, and each word is important. We'll see what he's saying. So, in the previous para, he has said that you can see the divine within yourself. And when you get naturally bhakti and all that, that's a normal path. Now, on the other hand, some others may find it easier to see the divine outside yourself. In other people and in nature, there are so many ways of seeing. So, I'll read each sentence and tell me whether it is clear. On the other hand, and to some this is an easier way, I may see the divinity first in the world outside me, not in myself, but in others. Very clear language. I see the divine in everybody I see around me, not only people, but even trees and stones, and in every creature also I see the divine presence. Okay, so.
But Rangada,
yeah, tell me.
How, without seeing in yourself, how do you see it in others? I mean, you have to recognize that divinity in others first. I mean, to understand him.
Is that difficult to understand? You see, they are all different experiences. Na? That's exactly what he's telling us. That it is possible to see. He has told you earlier that there are 3 levels of the divine, if you remember. The transcendent, the cosmic, and the individual. And because we are limited, we see in the beginning only a limited aspect of the divine. Okay, that's the thing. We are limited, na? We have got a very our body is matter, but it's very small quantity of matter. When you see the whole universe, you will see what is your body. It is not even one grain of sand. It's a very small part of yourself. Then the second is in the universe, okay, you have a vital, and the vital also is small formation of the universal prana everywhere, universal force. Look at the force that is there in the universe, vast forces. Okay, the constellations, the stars. So you are nothing. You are just a small thing. So naturally, in the beginning, if you have to experience the vastness, you will see it in your own limited way. Okay. It's very easy to understand. Suppose I have a telescope, okay, and it's a defective telescope. I will see only what the defective telescope is giving me, and my defective instrumentation are the senses, and my limited being. So I will see only in a limited way. Okay, so it's possible when you experience this, you can experience only one aspect of the divine. This is the fact, because we are starting from our limitations. But as we grow and our limitations slowly disappear, and we realize that we are not the body, not the vital, not the mind, but the soul which is capable of infinity. The soul is not limited. Although it may be an individual soul, and in the beginning there is a limitation, but it can expand and become vast as the universe. Then you will experience the cosmic consciousness. So usually the experience of all these three, either the transcendent or the cosmic or the individual, are exclusive. You don't see all at once. That's the reason why Sri Aurobindo is saying integral. Okay, he is saying integral yoga. You must realize the divine in all the aspects. That's the whole problem with all our philosophical systems and all our religions. They see only one aspect and think that that's it. It is so satisfying that you think that that's the only reality. There is, you can understand, because we are in ignorance, and when we see life, it is so satisfying that you think that that's the ultimate experience. So that's why there are so many different philosophies and so many different religions also, and each one insisting on his own. So when you see the divine within yourself, you don't see it in the outside world, nor you see it transcendently. And if you see it transcendently, you don't see it in the physical world, and you don't see it in yourself. You see it outside the universe. So this is the way it is experienced. Because of our limit. The explanation is limitation. We are starting from a limited thing. And so the results also will be limited. It's very clear. Okay? I now continue to read the sentence. On the other hand, and to some this is an easier way, I may see the divinity first in the world outside me, not in myself, but in others. I meet it there from the beginning as an indwelling and all-containing infinite that is not bound up with all these forms, creatures, forces, which it bears on the surface. So although I see the divine presence in others, it is not limited to the outer form. That's what he's saying. And you can also see it as though it contains everything. Again, we come back to that idea of the infinitesimal containing the infinite. Okay. The smallest unit contains the whole. That you see when you are experiencing this way. Or else, there are other possibilities also. Or else, I see and feel it as a pure solitary self and spirit which contains all these powers and existences, and I lose my sense of ego in the silent omnipresence around me. So this is the experience of the self. So he is saying that when you make your mind silent, or sometimes the mind is also not silent, but you escape and you come out of the body-mind life, and then what do you see? You lose your sense of ego, because remember, the ego is that which makes you feel separate from everybody, that which limits you to your body-mind life. So when your soul comes out, your consciousness comes out. By the way, soul and consciousness, there are two theories. One theory says soul and consciousness are the same. There is another theory which says soul and consciousness are different. The soul has a consciousness. Okay, so it's a different way of looking at things. That's a discussion which will take us altogether into another path. But just think of it as one. The soul is consciousness. So when it comes out, okay, it sees what he's saying, you lose your sense of ego. This is the nirvana experience. You lose your sense of ego. In other words, you don't feel yourself separate from everybody else. You feel you are one with everybody. And this also can be seen in two ways. Either you see everybody within yourself, or you see yourself in everybody else separately. Okay. That all
But
this.
this, when we are saying, is it individual beings, or it is about things and everything like that?
Yeah, everything. Not only necessarily individual beings. You see it in everything, even inanimate objects, animate objects, not only human beings, but even animals, everywhere you see the divine presence. And the divine presence is there. You can see it vast, covering everything, or you can see it in each individual thing. That's exactly what he's telling us, that you see it in everybody, okay? Or you see it also as a vastness which contains all these forces. You can see it in both ways. Okay?
Hmm.
Yeah. It's like if you have got many vessels, okay, you can
Hmm.
pour your pure water into all the separate vessels and you see that, oh, every vessel is containing this water. So exactly in the same way, all the forms that you see the divine presence. You see the different forms, but you see the divine presence everywhere. In the pots and in the vessels and also outside the vessel. This is one way of seeing. Okay. The other way of seeing is that this presence contains all these forms. There are two different ways of seeing. Just use your imagination and see. In one, the presence of the Lord is in everything separately. Okay. I see Tarika, I see Pallavi, I see Yasmin, I see Archanadi, Sunki, and the divine presence in all of them. But I can also see the divine presence containing all of you together. That is the two ways of seeing it.
Hmm.
So this is what he's saying. And then when you see that, you lose your sense of ego. And that's the reason why you don't feel yourself limited to your body, mind, life. You don't. Okay? You feel yourself to be everywhere. I told you that very interesting thing about Sri Aurobido's letter, na? Um, all these things help to understand. Okay, Niruddha is telling Sri Aurobindo, I repeat, Niruddha is telling Sri Aurobindo, we are very satisfied with Sri Aurobindo as we know him. In other words, the body, mind, life. And you are our guru, and we are very satisfied with that image that we have of you. So Sri Aurobindo says, fine, I have no problem, you can do that. But I myself don't know who is this limited Sri Aurobindo. Because I have everything. I have lost the limitations of the nature. I am everywhere. So that is the okay. So after now, I lose my sense of ego in the silent omnipresence. Note that it is silent. It's not acting. Okay, it is something static. It is absolutely stable, and all these forms are inside that. Silent. He is using the word. I have jumped. One second. Yeah. He is using the word silent omnipresence. The word silent means no activity at all. Afterwards, it is this that begins to pervade and possess my instrumental being. Now, the instrumental being is your body, your vital, and your mind. Because they are instruments given to the soul for experience in the world. Okay. And out of it seem to proceed all my impulsions to action, all my light of thought and speech, all the formations of my consciousness, and all its relations and impacts with other soul forms of this one worldwide existence. A very interesting sentence. We'll try and imagine what he's saying to ourselves. We use your imagination. Afterwards, first of all, you see the divine presence in everything and the divine presence containing everything. So that is outside you. But now, afterwards, it is this that begins to pervade and possess my instrumental being. Now I am conscious that I have a body, mind, life. In the beginning, you are not conscious of your body, mind, life. Now you are conscious of your body, mind, life, but they are not your body, mind, life. They have been given to you as instruments. And you see that this divine presence in me now is going out and determining all my relations with others. That's what he's saying. All my thinking is coming out of the divine presence from my instrumental being. I am the center, and from there, all my thoughts, my emotions, and even my actions, he's saying. No? You can see that. To proceed my impulsions to action, physical impulsions. I am being made to act from that divine presence. At our level, we think that we are doing. Our action comes from the vital, and we feel that we are doing everything. But now you see that it is being, you are being asked to do something by the divine presence, and you do that. All my light of thought and speech, whatever I am thinking or whatever I am saying, and whatever I am thinking also is coming out of that. Not my mind, but now the divine presence. All the formations of my consciousness. So formations of our consciousness, joy, okay, whatever other feelings, sympathy for others. I don't think negative things can be there at that level. So that's why they are all the formations of consciousness are all positive. Okay, helping others, generosity, okay, sympathy for others. This is what we're saying, formula, and all its relations and impacts with other soul forms of this one worldwide existence. So this one worldwide existence is there, and in that existence you see all the different soul forms. You see both. You see the forms as well as the whole. You see the cosmic whole containing all the soul forms. And soul form he is using, remember. So even every soul is a limited version of the divine, infinite divine. So just like each body is a different formation of matter, exactly in the same way each individual soul may be essentially divine, but it's a part of the divine. It's not the divine himself, but it's part of the divine. You can have a relation, you can also merge yourself into that vastness. Okay? So, this is what he's saying. So afterwards, it is this that begins to pervade and possess my instrumental being, and out of it seem to proceed all my impulsions to action, all my all my light of thought and speech, all the formations of my consciousness. Formations of my consciousness, clear? Okay. My consciousness, again, there is will, there is thinking, there is sympathy for others, all my emotions, the formations of a consciousness, and all its relations and impacts with other soul forms of this one worldwide existence. The soul forms are nothing but formations of the worldwide existence. I am already no longer this little personal self. I have lost my identification with body, mind, life. But that with something of itself put forward, which sustains a selected form of its workings in the universe. Now, let's try and understand this sentence. I am no longer this little personal self. When we are in our normal consciousness, we are our little personal self. We are identified with the body, mind, life, and the others are not part of me. They are all outside me. But that TCAP, that means that vast, infinite divine presence, with something of itself put forward, okay, it's a divine presence which has given a formation and has entered my body, mind, life in a limited way. So he's saying there is a relation between the individual and the outside. It's like a country, na, which contains individuals. So you are part of the country. So your soul, you see it as a part of the divine presence everywhere. The collectivity, and you are a small representation of the collectivity. Look at the words, you will see that very clearly. I am already no longer this personal self, but that, the infinite consciousness, the infinite presence of the divine, with something of itself put forward. So the vast, infinite divine presence limits itself and goes into your body, mind, life, and you feel that from that level everything is coming out, all your thoughts, all your actions. Okay, you have to use your imagination for that. Okay, so this is one way of seeing. First way of seeing, you see the in yourself, or now he is telling you that you can see outside yourself, and later on it also becomes as though it is part of you. Now we can go to the next para. there is another basic realization, the most extreme of all. What that is with you. Pallavi read now. Today, Jasmine can read because she was not there. She's just come back. So, Jasmine,
Yes, I shall read.
go ahead.
There is another basic realization, the most extreme of all, that yet comes sometimes as the first decisive opening or an early turn of the yoga. It is the awakening to an ineffable, high, transcendent, unknowable above myself and above this world in which I seem to move, a timeless and spaceless condition or entity which is at once in some way compelling and convincing to an essential consciousness in me, the one thing that is to it overwhelmingly real. This experience is usually accompanied by an equally compelling sense either of the dreamlike or shadowy illusoriness of all things here, or else of their temporary, derivative, and only half real character. For a time at least, all around me may seem to be a moving or cinematographic shadow forms or surface figures, and my own action may appear as a fluid formation from some source ungrasped as yet and perhaps unseizable above or outside me. To remain in this consciousness, to carry out this initiation or follow out this first suggestion of the character of things would be to proceed towards the goal of dissolution of self and the world in the unknowable. Moksha, nirvana. But this is not the only line of issue. It is possible, on the contrary, for me to wait till, though the silence of this timeless, unfilled liberation, I begin to enter into relations with that yet ungrasped source of myself and my actions. Then the void begins to fill. There merges out of it, or there rushes into it, all the manifold truth of the divine, all the aspects and manifestations, and many levels of a dynamic infinite. At first, this experience imposes on the mind and then on all our being an absolute, a fathomless, almost an abysmal peace and silence. Overpowered and subjugated, still liberated from itself, the mind accepts the silence itself as the supreme. But afterwards, the seeker discovers that all is there for him contained or new made in that silence, or through it descends upon him from a greater concealed transcendent existence. For this transcendent, this absolute, is not a mere piece of signless emptiness. It has its own infinite contents and riches, of which ours are debased and diminished values. If there were not that source of all things, there could be no universe. All powers, all works and activities would be an illusion. All creation and manifestation would be impossible.
Okay. So, this is a very big para. And he's telling you that in this para he is describing to you the experience of self or the Atman or Nirvana. Okay. Basically, you have to, we are going to details, but you have to understand that you are entered into a consciousness which is featureless. You cannot describe it. It is absolutely one and it is static. There is no movement in it at all. It is infinite, eternal, without any features, and it's impossible to describe. But the only thing is totally real. That's exactly what he's saying. It is absolutely real to you. Okay, so and we're going to details because then these words help us to imagine what that is. There is another basic realization. The earlier one, the two paras, he has described the cosmic consciousness, where the world is not unreal to you. the world is real. No? Because when you are experiencing the divine in yourself, then you're real. How can it be that you're not real? Or when you see the divine in the world outside you, the world is real. That's what he means by you embrace the cosmic consciousness. But now he is describing where the world becomes unreal. Okay? Because you enter into a consciousness which is absolutely real but featureless, infinite, eternal, immutable, no action at all. So the world becomes unreal. So that's what he is explaining now. This is the whole para is that. There is another basic realization. It's very basic. The most extreme of all. Why is it extreme? Because the world disappears. It is not true anymore. The whole world is nothing but a falsehood. You are not seeing. You're imagining things. It's only a shadow. There's no truth to it. That's what he's saying. The most extreme of all, that yet comes sometimes as the first decisive opening or an early turn of the yoga. He's actually talking about himself only. Although he was having many experiences before, okay, he was still not doing yoga until in Baroda he started looking for a yogi. And that also was very interesting because Shivamda was having so many experiences. When he came to Bombay first, when he landed in India, a great peace descended upon him. Then when he went with the Maharaja of Baroda, he went to Kashmir. And he had the experience of the silent infinite, okay, the vacant infinity calls it, whatever it may be. But he had the experience of on Shankaracharya hill, okay, he had the experience of the vacant infinite. Then in Baroda itself, one day there was going to be an accident to his carriage, horse-driven carriage, no motor cars at that time. So horse-driven carriage, there is going to be a danger. There is going to be an accident. Suddenly he saw the divine coming out of him and controlling the horses and the situation. Okay, that was, he has described this in a sonnet. I sat behind the danger of, I've forgotten the exact word, but it's a very interesting sonnet where he's describing that. Okay, so that experience. So he was having all these experiences, but yet his main purpose, he was a 20-year-old when he came to Baroda and started working under the Maharaja. But he was interested only in India's freedom. So, but then when he came to know that yoga can give you power, he got interested. He said, okay. So they sought out a guru who was, they found Vishnu Bhaskar Lele was recommended to him. And Vishnu Bhaskar Lele made him sit down and make his mind quiet. And in the first day itself, his mind became calm and quiet. Okay. So that's why he's saying early turn of the yoga. When he decided, he had this experience of the self. Okay, he went out, and that description is there in in a letter to Dilip Kumar Roy, where he says that everything seemed absolutely unreal to him. Okay, so the first decisive opening or an early turn of the yoga. What is it? It is the awakening to an ineffable, high, transcendent, unknowable, above myself and above this world. So it is above myself means I am outside my body, mind, life. I am standing outside my body, mind, life. I am even standing outside the universe, above this world. That's a transcendent. Okay. When this is something also that you have to understand. It doesn't mean that he has gone to the highest level. His consciousness has gone to the higher mind level. He has made his mind silent. But you can get a glimpse of the transcendent experience even in the lower consciousness. Yeah, so he is saying that look at the words awakening. Okay, actually, there is a Russian spiritual leader who was called Gurdjieff. Okay, he was a Russian, but he was living in London, and he used to say that man's waking life is actually a sleep, and when you wake up, then that's that's a real consciousness when you are awake. But then the physical consciousness is not awake. You can go into a trance also. That is what is there in the Gita. Na? You remember Tarika, the lines in Gita? That which is sleep to us is an awakening to the awakened soul.
No, I don't remember.
It's a very, very fascinating shloka. He says that when we are in our sleeping, in our waking consciousness, it is actually sleep because we are not aware of our soul. And
Is
when
it that one? Yasyam Jagarti Sanyami.
Pardon?
Yasyam Jagarti Sanyami. Is it that one?
Exactly. That is the line. Okay.
Yeah.
So the consciousness in which we are awake is actually a sleep. For the Samyami. Samyami is one who is absolutely in control of himself. And
Yeah.
his consciousness is a sleep to us because we don't know what it is. Okay. So awakening. He's using the word awakening. Okay. It's an awakening to an ineffable. You can't describe it. High, transcendent, unknowable. Unknowable because you can't describe it. Okay, but you can experience it.
Sa Nisha Pashyato Mune.
Yeah, that's right. That's the line. Above myself and above this world, in which I seem to move. I seem to be moving in a world which is unreal. At time, no, sorry, in which I seem to move. That means he is talking of the self. A timeless and spaceless condition or entity which is at once in some way compelling and convincing to an essential consciousness in me. The essential consciousness is your soul, and the non-essential consciousness or your formation is your body, mind, life. Okay, so your soul experiences this as absolutely real, and it is compelling and convincing. It is so compelling and convincing that you are absolutely sure that this is the ultimate experience. That's why people get stuck at that level. It is so satisfying. Okay. When we are in our body, mind, life, we have so many worries. We have so many worries in the physical world. You are thinking of so many money troubles and family troubles and social troubles. But here, absolutely nothing at all. No, absolute peace and calm. So it is so satisfying that you think that that's the ultimate. Like the Mayavadin and the Buddhists. The Buddhists also say that. Okay. Now Srinath is saying, in some way compelling and convincing to an essential consciousness, the one thing that is to it overwhelmingly real. In fact, that is absolutely abstract, it is absolutely subtle, but it is overwhelmingly real, and the rest of the thing is not real. This experience is usually accompanied by an equally compelling sense, either of the dreamlike or shadowy illusoriness of all things here, or else of the temporary, derivative, and only half real character. So either you can see it like the Buddhists, absolutely non-existence, or you can see it as a half-truth. Okay. In the physical world also, we can give examples of half-truths, like the shadow. Okay. The shadow exists and doesn't exist. It depends on the light behind you. If you switch off the light behind you, the shadow disappears. So it's only half-true. Or there are other examples also, like the blue sky. The blue sky is so real to you. You go there, there's no blue. It's an illusion. There's no blue in the sky. Okay. Or what about the rainbow? You see a clear rainbow, 7 colors, all in a beautiful arch. But there's no such thing. It's an illusion. You go there, there's no color, no shade, no rainbow, no shade. Each drop of water is reflected in the light. Okay. So that's what you see, the physical world. And he is describing now, for a time at least all around me, may seem to be a moving of cinematographic shadow forms or surface figures. There is a very interesting image that he is giving, because it is in today's world, the Vedanta philosophy can describe the world as a cinema. Cinema because when you can either see it as real, you can identify yourself with the story on the screen, or you need not identify yourself with the story on the screen. So there is the experience of the nirvana. You can explain it this way. When you are watching a film, okay, and there's a sad scene, you may even cry. You are identifying yourself with that. That's our normal condition. The cinema is nothing but our body, mind, life, which are images on the screen of consciousness. and we are identifying ourselves with it and thinking it is real. Either there is joy or there is sorrow. But when you are watching the film, okay, it's possible for you to step back and say, hey, why am I crying? Why am I enjoying? This is only an image on the screen. It's not true at all. So that is the experience of the nirvana. Okay? You realize
But when we cry or something, I think somewhere we identify. I think somewhere we identify with whatever we have experienced. That's why we cry, no?
that's right. And in the cinema also, you are identifying yourself with the scene and crying. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Mm.
So it's the same.
Then why, Rangada,
No.
when seeing the
Yeah.
movie, we are so much moved, but while reading the divine books or even seeing the divine picture
Yeah.
photos, we are not so much moved.
I didn't exactly follow what you said, Shilpa.
What I'm saying is,
Ah,
when we are seeing the movie, we are so much moved. We identify ourselves with them, with the movie. But
yes.
while seeing the divine photo, like Sri Aurobindo's and mother's photograph,
Yeah.
or reading their books, why we are not feeling that equal? Why we cannot go so much inside into them and
Yeah.
identify ourselves?
Yeah, that's true what you're saying. But when you are seeing the photograph, you are not seeing the real. Nah? You are moved by it. Okay. The, it's a good thing. But good or bad is not the question. You are still seeing the physical, the photograph as real. Okay. You are moved by it. That's what happens. Okay. When we see it, scenes, we are moved by it. The example given remains the same. Whether it's a photograph or whether it's the world. We are in illusion. But
No, but I think we don't identify with the photograph. No, movie we are identifying somewhere some experience that we have got. It corresponds to that experience in the movie,
when
and
we are,
that's why we are moved. But when we are seeing the photos, we are not really identifying ourselves with mother's photo or Sri Aurobindo's photo. That's why we cannot feel that, no?
you're
I
identifying
feel I feel it is with what kind of consciousness that you approach them. If you are in trouble and your mind is restless, and then you look at their photo, it's not going to help you at all. But if you are in a very calm, peaceful condition and you look into mother's eyes, and mother has said, just see, look at me, gaze into me, enter into my being wholly, and you will find my love mixed with your love. So it all depends with what kind of a mental makeup we look at their photo.
Yeah.
If we are disturbed, you are disturbed. You will not find anything. Whether you look at Mother Sri Aurobindo or whoever. But when you are in a different state, you will see something behind the photo. And you can see that the Divine Mother is looking at you, and maybe you can talk to her, or,
Yeah.
that's what I feel.
No, but there is other way also. When we are disturbed and we see mothers and Sri Aurobindo's photo, it calms you down. Actually, I felt that.
It depends how receptive you are. It all depends
I'll
on
give
your
one.
receptivity.
Yeah.
I'll
I
just
mean,
give an
have
example
you
of
seen?
yesterday's.
Have you seen at the Samadhi, when we are at the Samadhi and all these visitors come, they just come as if they're visiting a zoo and looking at animals. And I've seen them just going round the Samadhi. They will not even look at the flowers at the Samadhi. They are looking around to see what is where, and they go out. So you see, even if there is a force at the Samadhi, they are not bothered, they are not receptive, and they don't feel a thing.
Yeah.
That's what I feel.
I'll just give a real example of yesterday. It just crossed my mind when we are discussing this. Actually, our dispensary has changed from the original. We were sitting for 2 years almost in the same campus as Desiree. So when my son asked me yesterday afternoon that mummy, where are you going? I told I'm going to the dispensary near the ashram. He told no, your dispensary is here. I told no, the campus says it's no longer here. It's near the ashram. So then I told you have seen that place. He told, is it behind that north-facing balcony? I told no, you forget. It is the east-facing balcony. So after that, he told, oh, then he said, it was really struck me. He told, oh yeah, there is a door, I was passing mummy and then I saw two eyes of the mother and it struck me that place that is it a museum? What is that place? It is so peaceful. I told exactly that is the entrance to the dispensary and those mother's eyes are just outside my room. So, what I'm saying is he was just passing by and not, you can't say a very great devotee or something, but just caught him. That's how I can put it. So I was just telling, yes, it depends. I don't know, on your consciousness, on or whatever.
Yeah.
But
No, but Ranga, the
yes.
one question is like when this is all emotions and mental and everything, but physically when you are in that consciousness, if your leg is hurt or if your you are in an accident or something, you won't feel anything. Physical pain.
Okay, it's an interesting question. The pain will be there in the body-mind life. But are you identified with the body-mind life? No.
No.
Therefore, you won't feel. Suppose, Pallu, I have an accident, okay?
Yes.
And I am feeling the pain, and you are watching me, but you are not identified with me. Will you feel my pain?
Yes.
Normally you would not. But if you are identified with me in sympathy, then you will start feelings. That is a cosmic consciousness. So we are not in a cosmic consciousness normally. And that's Srirendra has described that in the first two paragraphs that we read. Today we read the first paragraph. There you will feel the pain of others also. But normally we don't. So when your body-mind life is something separate from you, when you have gone to the self, okay, your consciousness is standing outside, you will not feel the pain. Your consciousness is not feeling the pain. The consciousness in the body will feel the pain. The body will be in pain, but not you. You are the consciousness now. You are not the body-mind life. So that is you will be watching the body maybe having pain, okay? But you will not be in pain. That's a solution, the Buddhistic solution. The Buddhists are saying, if you want to get rid of suffering, go out of your body-mind life and remain in the self. That's a solution to the problem of suffering in the world. Is that clear?
Yes, Rangada.
Yeah, that's
so it reminds me of Valmiki when he was covered with those ant hill. So he was in that consciousness and he didn't feel physically anything.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. The consciousness is elsewhere. Okay. There is also an example of Vivekananda. Okay. Vivekananda, one day he was seen meditating and his whole body was full of mosquitoes. But he is in trance. His consciousness is elsewhere. Okay. He is not feeling all that at all. It depends on where the consciousness is lodged. We always think that our consciousness is something part of us, but it is something separate. Okay. We realize that we go to the self. Yeah.
Even Ramakrishna's this thing is there, no? I think it is Ramakrishna's that when he was to be operated, he said, I don't need anesthesia because I will remove my consciousness from there. And
that is Raman Maharshi. Okay?
Raman Maharshi, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Raman Maharshi. So they did, but they used anesthesia. I referred to the ashram, this problem, because I was told by somebody, I think it was Nirodha who said that they did not use anesthesia and they operated on his shoulder. He had cancer in the shoulder. But then I referred to them because I had doubt, because I had read that they had used anesthesia. And they confirmed to me that they had used anesthesia because to the human mind, how can I give pain to him? He may say that I won't feel the pain, but how can I give pain to him? So they did give anesthesia and operators. And
also the body, whether you want it or not, it will react. So they have to calm down the body also.
Absolutely.
Not the mind. Yes.
Exactly. That's right. Not the mind, no, not consciousness, not mind.
Yes. It's
okay, that's right. So anyway, we have come to the end.
And The surgeon is knowing that anesthesia is given, so I can operate peacefully. Otherwise, the surgeon will be restless, saying, "Oh my God, how can I operate without anesthesia?"
Quite right, quite right. Because the surgeon himself will feel disturbed when the body is. Yeah, quite right. Okay, we stop here today, and we can note down that we will go to the next. The next one is.
No, we'll have to finish the para, no, Rangada?
Okay, okay. So make a note of that on chat. Okay, we'll finish the para next time. Okay, au revoir, everybody.
Au revoir, Rangada. Merci. Bonne journée.
Bonne journée.
Same to everybody.